Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David and this is a deck review. Hey, today we're going to look at the Celtic Myth playing cards. These are from Cultúrlan Enterprises. Cultúrlan put this out as a Kickstarter. It was successful. They wanted to do 2 decks. They raised the funds to create these really cool Celtic cards. And if you'd like to learn more about them, you can actually find them at cultúrlan.com. These cards were printed by the United States Playing Card Company, and so they're going to be everything that you'd expect from a bicycle product. Cultúrlan, that's a Celtic word. It's actually a place that preserves culture. It's derived from the words full and culture, so full of culture. You want to kind of think of it like, okay, say you went into a museum and it was all about Ireland and Celtic mythology, okay? And then inside that museum, there was a gift shop where you could buy books and history stuff. You could buy like little artifacts, and everyone in there spoke like the Gaelic languages. That's kind of what Cultúrlan is. It's this place that has preserved culture for you. It makes it available for you so that you can go back and kind of check it out. If you want to learn more about the history and the culture behind these cards, I'm going to add a link in the description so that you can go to their website and read more about just some of the artwork and the detail that was put into this. Both of these decks, there was 2 of them. There's the asymmetrical deck and the symmetrical deck. Now for cardists and for people who collect cards, let me just break that down for you a little bit more easily. The asymmetrical deck is a one-way design, and the symmetrical deck is a 2-way design. So that's, that's card speak more, but they actually have listed it as the asymmetrical and symmetrical. The genius and the artist behind these decks is a gentleman named James Akin. He's a PhD professor, and he's also a professional illustrator. And of course, he has a big interest in Celtic things. He's a trained medievalist, and he loves all of that poetic culture that's out in Northern Europe. These 2 decks of playing cards, they have complete original artwork in every single card, and it all comes from the tradition and style of the Book of Kells. Now, there are 2 decks. There is a green deck and a burgundy deck. The green deck is the asymmetrical one-way deck, and it has a very pictorial back design. And the courts are actually also asymmetrical, so the top and bottom are different. And it has 2 unique jokers from this one. The burgundy deck is the symmetrical deck, or the 2-way deck. It has a beautiful Celtic pattern on the back, and it has 2-way courts that you would expect from a normal deck, and also 2 unique jokers. Everything else about the cards, as far as the pips and indices, those are the same. And so we're not going to take a look at both decks for that. I will show you a little later in the video what the 2 decks look like side by side and give you a little bit of a synopsis on the back designs. But for now, let's just use the symmetrical deck as our focus. So across the front of the deck, it does have the bicycle logo, and it says Celtic Myth and playing cards on the side. On this side, it says an ancient lore for modern minds. On this side, it says Cultúrlan, and on both sides, it has the Celtic knot there, and then it has their .com. And on the bottom, there is some ad copy about the United States Playing Card Company and Cultúrlan Enterprises. The back of the tuck case is, of course, the back design of the cards, and there is an original tuck seal right there. Like I said before, it does tell you whether it is the asymmetrical or the symmetrical deck on the top of the tuck case, and then the flap even has a little bit of Celtic work right there. That is pretty much it for the tuck case. Let's take a look at these cards. These cards were printed by the United States Playing Card Company, and they do have their famous retail stock. They do have a modern cut, and they do have air cushion finish. And if you'd like to learn more about cut, stock, or finish, you can click the link below in the description. Like I said before, every single part of these decks have been thought out and been reworked. These cards are designed, each one of them, to be little pieces of art. They're all completely hand-detailed and inked, and there are just a number of really cool components that have these very rich symbolism that have a lot of Celtic meaning. Okay, so real quick, here's just a brief explanation of the back of the asymmetrical deck. You see you have a cauldron there at the center, and then you have a tree growing up out of that brown graphic. More in Ireland, it would have been associated with, like, the family tree. And then from that, you have the animals of early Gaelic society. You have the horse of kingship, and you have the bull of wealth, the boar of prophetic heroism, and the hound of warriorship.
And the tree also depicts some of the different stages of the seasons, so like the years. All that's symbolized too. You have the white flowers of spring, the red berries of summer. In there you can see some red and gold leaves from autumn, and then you have bare branches of winter. And so that is your back design for the asymmetrical deck. The symmetrical card back is a little bit more, has to do with mathematics and Celtic numerology. It gets pretty in depth, but just as a simplified explanation, you can see that there's 8 clearly delineated cauldrons there, and they're spilling into a 9th cauldron that's kind of implied at the center. And this deck is a 2-way, like I said, so it is the same on top as it is on the bottom.
In both of these decks, you're going to get a couple of things. The first of which is you're going to get an ad card about Cultúrlan that tells you a little bit about the company and what they offer. You're also going to get an ad card about this particular deck that describes the back design and some of the mythology inside. Each deck comes with 2 original jokers. One joker is kind of similar. One of the jokers is a Bogart. Now, a Bogart is an immortal. It's a shapeshifter, and usually what it does is it turns into the shape of whoever's looking at it, their worst fear. So if your worst fear was skeletons, the Bogart would look like a skeleton. The only difference between the 2 jokers is that in this deck, the swords are interlaced with the different pips, and in the other deck, it's just swords. The second joker in this deck simply says Joker across the bottom, and it has some Celtic writing amidst a Celtic knot symbol and some other cool imagery.
Here are the 2 jokers that come with the symmetrical deck, and here are the 2 jokers that come with the asymmetrical deck.
The court cards in this deck are all drawn from Celtic culture and history and legend. James Atkins put just a ton of work into these decks, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at these cards and just kind of get a brief overview.
The 4 suits in the Celtic myth playing cards are all unique and representative of Celtic mythology. The spades are represented by the sword of Nuada, which is the sword of victory. And the hearts are represented by the cauldron of Dagde. The clubs down here are represented by the spear of Lug. And the diamonds are represented by the Liafail, or the stone of destiny. Using the 5 spot card, I wanted to show you what the pip layout looks like throughout these decks. Using the court cards from the spades, I want to show you the difference between the symmetrical and asymmetrical decks. As you see with the symmetrical decks, the courts have the same picture depicted on the top as well as the bottom. And the asymmetrical deck has a different picture represented on both the top and bottom.
That is it for this deck review. As always, we recommend that you like this video just so other people can find it faster. We also recommend that you subscribe to this channel just to stay up to date on the latest in cards and card magic. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can. I'm at facebook.com/magicorthodoxy and twitter.com/magicorthodoxy. Thanks, bye.